Serón is situated at an altitude of 800 meters on the northern flank of the Sierra de los Filabres in Almería province. The approach to Serón is dominated by the town's castle, beneath which a cluster of white houses with orange-tiled roofs cling to rock buttresses and then spread out into the gentler lower slopes. The buildings are separated by a crazy network of narrow alleys, ramps and steps, typical of the Muslim era. Looking out from the top of the castle, the view is expansive. The entire Almanzora valley stretches away to the east, the Sierra de las Estancias is on the northern side of the valley, and you can see a large portion of the province of Granada to the west. The castle was built in the 13th century as part of a network of fortifications to defend the important trading route from Almanzora to Baza. Of the original build, only one wall and some foundations remain. Modifications through the ages culminated in a sympathetic restoration in the 21st century and gives a good representation of what the original castle must have looked like. The clock tower is in a neo-Mudéjar style, and is a 20th century addition. In 1570, during the Moriscos revolts, the Moriscos inhabitants of Serón were besieged by the Christian forces commanded by Don Juan de Austria. It is said that he suffered his greatest defeat at Serón whilst unsuccessfully besieging the town. Beside the castle is the Historical Museum of Serón. The museum opened in the year 2000. The exhibits detail the long history of the area since the Neolithic period, but emphasis is given to the mining industry that briefly interrupted the otherwise tranquil rural setting. During the late 19th century, the Industrial Revolution occurred in Europe, and the increased use of iron in buildings, engineering works and industrial machinery caused a demand for iron ore. Mining companies were formed to exploit iron ore deposits not just in their home countries but abroad as well. Many places that had both a cheap source of labor and iron ore that was easy to extract experienced an iron rush. Problems such as a lack of nearby accommodation for the workers, and difficult terrain over which to transport the ore to foundries and ports were of secondary consideration. Those minor inconveniences were all solvable in the new, dynamic, industrial age. In a valley, over 1,500 meters above sea level, situated high in the mountains of Sierra de los Filabres, and 17 kilometers from Serón, 3 companies, 1 English, 1 Dutch and the 3rd Belgian, built an entire town. At the beginning of the 20th century, over 2,000 people lived there. The workers and their families were employed to extract iron ore from the mines of Las Menas. Between the 3 companies they built a town that included housing, shops, a hospital and a school. For further entertainment they also included a cinema, a bullring and a football pitch. Mining activity ceased in 1968 due to competition, primarily from the mines in North Africa. The entire population of Las Menas had to abandon their town and find work elsewhere. Today, a circular walk of 6.6 kilometers is a fascinating journey taking you through abandoned mine workings and the old town. The walk also takes you through some beautiful countryside and is waymarked. The walk starts at the Las Menas camping site and restaurant and takes you through 2 valleys. Signs of the industrial activity are all around. There are crumbling stone workshops that once resonated with the clangor of iron being worked to repair the machinery. You can see the abandoned workers' accommodation and a now empty electricity generating plant that still has a tiled floor on which would have been mounted the gleaming steam engine, that would have chuffed metronomically, 24 hours a day. Nostalgic black and white photographs on information boards show you how hard the living was. Along what was once a narrow-gauge railway line, where donkeys towed iron ore carts, is a path through pine woods. The trail takes you past darkly ominous adits. These were horizontal tunnels that were dug into the side of the mountain by hand. The old adits are still supported by unworked timbers whilst the newer ones had molded concrete arches. A small church, the Ermita de Santa Barbara, catered for the spiritual needs of the miners and now stands overshadowed by trees. When the church was built, in 1910, the entire hillside was bare of trees. A network of railway lines and aerial cableways carried the ore down the valley to a specially built loading area at Estación Serón. The ore was loaded into railway trucks on the Baza to Lorca and Aquilas line, which was built between 1870 and 1894 by another British company, the Great Southern of Spain Railway. The road that connects Las Menas to Serón had to wait until 1950 to be built, and now provides a scenic route back to the town, which is now known as the Jewel of the Almanzora. For more comprehensive details about the walk, the mining history, and the area of Serón, go to www.visit-andalucia.com.